I'm Brent.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Barrett from All Else Fails.
And you're checking out The Grind on punkradiocast.com.
That shredding song right there was Devil at the Crossroads by this next band that we have up in The Grind. This is All Else Fails from Edmonton, Alberta. Now you guys are a four-piece, right?
Yes.
And tell me where your fourth individual is. And who are we missing? What's his name?
Well, we actually have two fourth individuals. Our full-time bass player, a guy named C.D. Mitchell, he couldn't make the tour, so we have a guy named Gerald Brisson filling in for us. He's actually from Saskatoon originally, so he drove out ahead of us, and we'll be meeting him there. I assume so that he doesn't have to do like a 25-hour drive to Edmonton and then back home after at the end of the tour. So yeah, so he'll be meeting us there.
Excellent. So what instruments do you guys play that we have here?
I'm Barrett Klesko. I play guitar and sing and keys.
I'm Mike Chartrand. I'm guitar, sing, and rock.
And I'm Brent Francis, and I play drums and try and keep my mouth shut on stage.
So tell me a little bit about your new album.
Well, actually, we tried to do as much of the album as we could ourselves. We recorded the drum tracks at Big DB Studio in Edmonton, and then we actually tracked the guitars and bass and vocals ourselves using some of the new technology that we came across. And and then we had it mixed in Edmonton by Bill Kennedy, a guy who did a couple Nine Inch Nails albums and worked with some of the big guys, and then sent it off to Toronto for mastering. And here we are, like, I don't know, a year and a half later.
What was the writing process like?
As it's our first kind of full length, we've been writing those songs over a fairly large amount of time, but once we hit the studio, we did what most bands are not supposed to do, and we rewrote almost every single song. So we redid almost all of the vocals, we did all of the samples, so all of our keyboards, all of our electronic stuff. And so it was songs that we had pre-done, and we'd done pre-production, we'd done all of that, but as soon as we hit the studio, we just kind of decided to rework almost all of them. So I would say 75% of the album was rewritten in the studio from songs that had been written over the 3-year period before that.
Excellent. Was it a trying process to decide what tracks were going to be on the album?
No, actually, we recorded everything we had at the time. So usually you have 1 or 2 songs that just don't work out, they don't make the cut for the album, or you have like 35 songs, you whittle them down to 12 or 14 or whatever it's going to be, but we'd been kind of scrapping songs as we'd been writing them and cannibalizing what was left. So by the time we were ready to go in the studio, we had all the tracks ready to go, and everything worked out. We didn't really have any hiccups with the album, so they all made the cut.
Now regarding the attention span, the soundbite culture that we live in these days, a lot more people are rocking the iPods rather than full albums. Does that stick in the back of your mind when you're putting an album together?
No, we're definitely not catering to that in any way conceivable. We tend to, our kind of major philosophy for everything that we do is we do what we want, and we're hoping that other people will like it, and if they do, that's fantastic. It's because they get what we're doing, and if they don't, that's cool also. But it's just to really stay true to what you want to do and to stay true to your music and your fans and your scene. You just really have to do what feels right, or we have to do what feels right for us. And we tend to write albums. This album is going to be tough to break down into sound bites and singles because most of the songs flow into one another, and they're all longer, and they're, you know, we just really don't have the 3-minute kind of band of the month hit that, you know, some bands try to shoot for, and there's really nothing wrong with that, but it just doesn't work so much for us. So single song downloads, as our career progresses, I don't see being ultra popular for us. I see it really being more as an album, and I think that's better. I would rather have a solid album than 2 good songs and a bunch of fillers.
There's nothing worse than when you go and you buy an album and you really like the single and you buy it, and then you find out that the rest of the album blows. So we try our best not to just write a good song and then make a whole album around it. This whole album is just, we worked on these songs for years, and we spent a lot of time in the studio making sure that every single one was as good as they can be, because we're not looking for a standout track. We want the whole album to stand out.
You guys are currently on a cross-Canadian venture, headed out to Montreal at the end?
Yep.
What are some dates that Punk Radio Cast listeners, if we're going to go check you out, where can we, some of the major cities, where can we find you?
We'll be in Ottawa on May 29th, playing with Threat Signal, Ottawa again on the 30th. Then we're playing in Niagara Falls on the 31st at Jackfest. And then after that, yeah, we're in Toronto on June 5th. And then we're headed home after that. We'll be in Winnipeg June 8th. And then Regina.
He said a couple dates, not the whole tour.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of artists say that the second album, the sophomore album, is always the hardest one to work on. How will you guys be attacking that?
The same way we attack everything else, we're just going to do whatever the hell we feel like, and hopefully it'll work. It's a no-win album, because if you do the same thing again, people who like the first album are going to just say, well, I already have this album.
Yeah.
And if you do something different, they're just going to say, well, their first album was better. I like their old stuff, you know, and that's just how it's going to go. So the next album, there's really no way to plan for that, as far as I can see, so we're just going to write whatever we feel like, and it probably won't be the same album. In fact, I don't even need to say probably. It will be a very different album than the one we just put out. Who knows what it's going to be? I'm sure we won't see a major genre shift in that we'll be playing acoustic or jazz, but I would say that it would be very safe to say that it will sound nothing at all like this album sonically or with the arrangement or anything.
Is new material for a new album something on your mind right now, or you just sort of have that in the back of the mind, do your touring thing for this album, and when stuff generates, it generates?
No, we're already writing, actually. We never really stopped, so we've got a couple of new tracks ready that we're actually playing live to work out the kinks. And it's nice, actually. We have our full-time fourth member, who's not around with us too, is a fairly recent addition to the band, and he's bringing a lot to the writing table as well. So it's really coming out. The stuff we're writing with him is gelling really well, and it's just sounding nothing like anything we've done before, which is fantastic. So,
how has media support been for you guys so far? Stations in Edmonton, college stations spinning your stuff?
Awesome, actually. We were charting #1 on metal charts all across Canada and community and college radio stations. We sent out our album right when it came out, and we were #1 in Edmonton. We were #1 in Vancouver. We were #1 in Kamloops, we were #1 in Thunder Bay, we were #1 in Ottawa, like just everywhere. So the reception from the radio stations has been awesome. I mean, one challenging thing about playing in a genre like this is it's really tough to try and get your shit on any kind of mainstream radio source at all. So to have a kind of indie or I guess alternative radio stream that really kind of took a shine to us and picked us up right off the bat was awesome. And it's been the help on this tour, actually, because we're going to a lot of these cities where we've charted #1, and I'm sure that'll add to the draw that we have. But and then as far as press goes, I mean, we've always been really happy with the way we've been treated by the media in general. I mean, all it takes is a nice phone call to any of the newspapers in Edmonton or in the area, and they all respond pretty well. So I mean, we've had nothing but good experiences, including this one.
Good answer, good answer. Anything else you guys would like to get out there before we wrap things up here?
You can check us.
We're a band. We should say our name, maybe.
You can check us out on the web at myspace.com/AllElseFailsCanada or www.allelsefails.ca. And you can also look us up on Facebook. There's an All Else Fails profile page, but I don't know the web address of it because it's got a lot of numbers and question marks and symbols in it, so I won't rattle that off. New album out in stores now and on the internet.
Oh. And on tour.
And on tour. Come out to a show. It's the best place to buy a CD. It's cheaper than buying it in the stores or on Smart Punk or anything else like that.
Well, thank you very much, guys.